video that you guys have asked for. And when I mean you guys, I mean a lot of you guys have asked for. And I'm going to do my best to answer as many questions as I can. So what we're doing today is we're taking a look at the Ioniq 5 full EV, and we're comparing it to the Santa Fe PHEV. And you may say, hey, I'm only really interested in one of those vehicles. And I'm still going to ask you to watch this entire video. I know that seems crazy, so grab yourself a snack and a beverage if that's what you want to do. If you're live with us, you can do that right now. Normally what I do at this point, because we do a live video like this every single weekday at 2 o'clock, normally what I say is that the content of this video will start at the 3-minute mark, and usually we talk about some news and notes. We let our live audience join us. I am going to just quickly show people how to join us live, and stay with me during that, because I do want to talk about the biases that I'm bringing into this review that may show up, and I just want to be clear about that. So we got a few people joining us there. Let me quickly show you how to join us live. If you're not watching live with us, I'll show you how to do that, and then we're going to talk about, just instead of news and notes, about some of the biases. And again, at the 3-minute mark, we will jump into the comparison here, but I think it's important to stay with us. So how to join us live, go to our channel here. You can see Kia Hyundai channel, and you refresh the page at exactly 2 o'clock Eastern time in the afternoon, obviously. And that main video that we have down there is replaced by this live video. We're going to watch a ad for another dealer group, and it's nice of them to pay us, I guess. All right, skip that ad. There we go. Okay, so if you want to join us live, quick little ad for us. Brantford Kia, Brantford Hyundai, Owen Sound Hyundai. If you're buying in Ontario, buy from us. And I really mean that with EVs and PHEVs. There's a lot of bad information out there. And it's tough getting calls from people after they buy the car or after they're in the sales process. For instance, like, I can't help you, so I can help you if you work with us. Someone says, where's the EV6? It's coming. All right, let's quickly talk about biases. I own an EV. I happen to have a Kia Soul EV. I bought the short range at the time, which was rated for 249 horse or 248 kilometers. It gets about 300 or so in the summertime, a little bit around 200 or so in the coldest of winter days. So I own an EV. I've studied these things. I love them. I think it's great. But I generally have recommended PHEVs for most other people, but not everybody. That's changing now that this vehicle's here. So I just want to be clear that I kind of lean towards recommending this EV to more people than I would have in the past. And but the PHEV is also going to be a very good option for people. So I think it's important that people know that I have some biases. I also have a bias against people who are going to tell me that this needs a rear windshield wiper. I left these cars dirty. It doesn't have a rear wiper. There's a Globe and Mail article that had a clickbait title, and it has gotten everybody wired because they think you can't see out of this rear window when it's dirty. It's dirty. You can see out of it. Even in a bad snowstorm, you can still see out of it. Should it have a wiper? Sure, we can debate that, but that's more time than we should have spent talking about that. It's just not a big deal if you want to understand these cars. We'll talk about that later if you want. All right, 3-minute mark, here we go. Actual review of these cars, what you tuned in to see. All right, do me one little quick favor though while we're here. We got about 55, 56 people on. I'm looking for some likes here, guys. So if we can all, if you're willing to just give a like that I'm here, that I'm trying this, doing my best for you guys. If we all do it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hit the like button right now. We'll have a whole bunch more people join us because this will spread to those people. And when they join us, it'll be better for us because the more views we get on these, the more times we're going to be able to steal this car and that car and do more videos for you. And that's the quick thing that I should point out. This is not a single review. We've reviewed this car before, both of these. We're going to continue to review them again. So if you want to subscribe to our channel, it's a really good idea to do that right now while you're thinking of it as well. We will have every question that you could possibly ask. I will do my best to answer everything. If not in this video, then definitely in future videos. All right, let's take a look at the keys. They are semi-identical. Let me just set them down, the camera down for a second so I can show you both at the same time. All right, keys. Oh boy, this is harder to do than I thought. There are the keys, and you can see they are identical in function. In shape, but they're a little bit different in function. The Santa Fe has a powered tailgate. You can pop that up, or at least unlock just the trunk. I don't remember if it's powered. I think, yeah, it's powered. So you can pop that up with the powered tailgate. The Ioniq has the charge port opening thing right there. So just a couple little differences. Both of them have remote start, which is just remote climate on the Ioniq 5, remote start on the PHEV. We'll talk about that in just a second. So there's the keys. I'm gonna put them in my pocket for this video and never pull them out again because I don't need them for anything. So really quickly, PHEV versus EV. PHEVs are different depending on the manufacturer that you use. Somebody asked me about I talked about Jeep in the past, so let's quickly tell what a Jeep does. A Jeep Wrangler 4xe. If you buy a 4-cylinder Jeep Wrangler with all the equipment, it's going to get better fuel efficiency than the Jeep Wrangler 4xe after it runs out of charge. So no easier way to say that. That is not how our system works. When you run out of charge in this vehicle, you're still going to get hybrid mileage that is going to outperform the regular gasoline versions of this car. So a PHEV allows you to plug the car in. It's got a gas door on the other side, which is the electric door, and you can plug that in. And in this case, it gives you about 50 kilometers of pure electric range. And when it runs out of that range, this car gets about 7.2 liters per 100 kilometers without that. With it, you can run on pure electricity. Now, Kia and Hyundai, they all make decisions about how they're going to find their efficiency and their power. Kia and Hyundai, in the winter, you're going to run a little bit more as a hybrid vehicle, which means the engine will turn on and off as necessary. You'll probably be able to do less, certainly in the cold weather with your heat running, you'll be able to do less pure electric range because it does require some heat. Why does it do that? Because you have a gasoline engine here. And in order to have full power on this car, although you can drive in full electric mode, even in the summer, even in ideal conditions, if you floor the throttle, in order to get maximum possible power from this car, it's going to run the gasoline engine. It needs to have, in the winter, a warm gasoline engine that is ready to rev to full revs. So in the winter, Kia and Hyundai have made the decision to basically use the gasoline engine, keep it temperature up, and you can see there's a temperature gauge that's available inside this car that tells you where the engine temperature is at. If the engine temperature is good, you can run a lot more on pure electric. 3 seasons of the year in Canada, this can run pretty much as a full electric vehicle for 90% or 95% of most people's driving without starting that engine. But you can, you will find in the winter it runs as a hybrid vehicle. It's still going to get better fuel efficiency than just a gas. It is what it is. You can question me as to why. I didn't design it. I'm not sure. But there are some logical reasons to make it that way. It also means that when you remote start this car, you shouldn't do that in a garage, no matter what time of year it is, because it's possible, for whatever reason, if the computer decides it's going to run that gasoline engine, it will run that gasoline engine. When you're looking at an EV, so this is plug-in versus full EV, the EV itself is no gasoline engine. So you get some primary benefits here to an EV. That car, the maintenance is basically identical to a gasoline car. Oil changes, those kinds of things, you have to do that. You have the full gasoline car in addition to the hybrid. The hybrid system really doesn't take any real maintenance itself outside of the regular maintenance of the car. So it is worth noting that if you buy that car and you tell me you want to run purely on electricity, that's not a realistic use case for that. It will be for most people's driving in many, many, many cases. But then you'll get people who, that 5% of the time, or maybe the way they drive 50% of the time is the way I drive 5% of the time, and that's worth noting too. It may still run the gasoline engine. That being said, I've achieved 2.7 liters per 100 kilometers in that car over a half an hour drive without a whole lot of difficulty, really. You're going to probably get 3 to 4 average. It depends. But like I said, 7.2 when you run out of range and liters per 100 kilometers. This one, if you run out of range, you're going to be stopping to charge. Now, in the past, I would have said, great around town car. And then as the next generation came in, the generation that I bought, I would say, great around town car, great on the highways for day tripping, that kind of thing. Probably not a great long distance car. For some people, there's a compromise to go long distance. Now the compromises have really changed because this car is capable of charging up to 80% in 18 minutes. And 80% in this particular car is 488 kilometers. So what we're looking at here today are 2 cars, both around the same price. So let's just look at MSRP here. MSRP of the Ioniq 5 that I have today is, it just unlocked because I approached it. Where are we here? Can you see that through the glass? $52,199 is the MSRP here. Now that has a $5,000 government rebate. So $52,000 with the $5,000 government rebate. This one here is $48,499 with a $2,500 government rebate. So basically, I assume that people that can afford these cars can afford either one. This is not a $1,000 versus $2,000 case where you only have, half the money. This is, you can kind of afford either one. So now we're going to try to help you make some decisions between these. And somebody says, $52,000, good Lord. Canadian dollars, man. I don't price them. That is what they are. So that's what they cost. We're all about reality here. So what I'm going to do in the next little while is go through the practicalities of living with each of these vehicles, showing you the insides and the outsides, the trunks and everything else. But what I'm going to do is focus a little bit less on the specs. We can do that in other videos. And I kind of want to go through the real world stuff because I think a lot of people miss out on that. So we're going to start with the Santa Fe just as a baseline and then move to this because we're probably going to spend a little bit more time here because this car is different. They are not in the same class. They are not probably equally comparative on trims. but they are similar in some ways and very different in other ways. Wheel size, by the way, just curiosity, these wheels look huge to me. They're actually identical to those. You could swap the tire and wheel size. I don't know if the bolt pattern's the same, it probably is, but you could actually swap them both ways. They are identical wheel size, which I just find interesting. So what we're going to do here is we're going to hop in the Santa Fe really quickly here, just give you a basic overview of what we've got going on in a 2022 Santa Fe. You do have phenomenal seats in this car. The best possible seats you can get in any Hyundai are right here. They offer you the powered seat, the 4-way lumbar, not just 2-way lumbar, and you have this piece right there. What it's doing is coming in right now. And what it's going to do in a second is come out when I do this. So if you are sharing this car or you are shorter or taller, you can really get these customized the way you want. Both seats, both cars have very comfortable front seats, but they go about it in a little bit different ways, and you'll see that as we come through here. You can see a lot of space in here. There is a pass-through down there, but there's still a full console there. That's quite a bit different look, this cascading console, quite a bit different in the Ioniq 5. In here, you do have, if we're going to turn the car, I'm just going to turn to the accessory mode because the engine might start. You know what? Let's just turn it fully on. If the engine starts, we'll worry about that later. So we're going to turn the climate control off so we don't have to worry about the engine possibly coming on. So this car has about 50 kilometers of purely electric range. And like I said, 3 seasons of the year, you're not going to have any trouble keeping in that electric type mode. When you're using your heating, that's when it says, hey, you're pulling that off the engine. I want to keep my engine warm, and it may run that. You have about a 12.3-inch screen here, which is a very large screen, and it's actually the same size screen as you're going to have in the Ioniq 5. This particular one has the 8-inch screen over here, and that's where there's a real difference. You have whole different software in the Ioniq 5, and it has a 12.3-inch screen, so significantly larger screen in the Ioniq 5, but pretty nice place to be here. This one is actually sort of brown leather. The color is not showing up perfectly on camera, so don't judge it too much if you don't love the color. You do have a beautiful panoramic roof right up here, and this is a traditional SUV. It happens to be a 5-passenger SUV, but it is very traditional. So traditional looking vehicle, there's no one, I mean, I say no one, but there's almost no one who's going to stop you to talk about this car unless they know that it's a PHEV. It just looks like a Santa Fe. People who drive Santa Fe's tend to not get stopped and asked about. Santa Cruz, different story. Ask me how I know. So as you're coming through here, you've got the standard type stuff. It is a digital gauge cluster. You can get this as a tachometer. You can set that up as well. But basically what you're looking at is a really customizable display, typical stuff that you'd see in our gasoline vehicles as well. We'll cover that a little bit later. Coming down here, climate control buttons are right there. You have push button gear shift. Not everybody likes these, but you will get used to them very, very quickly. But non-traditional, maybe here, non-traditional as well. The EV, HEV button allows you to save your electric range for later. So whether you think you can be more efficient using your electric range later, let's say you put 50 kilometers of charge in this and you want to drive to the campground and then drive around the campground on pure electric power, you can do that. You can switch it to a hybrid mode. You can do that. You can tow 2,000 pounds with this car. I believe you can tow 2,000 pounds with that car as well. The initial specs said you were going to be able to. I don't know how it finished up in Canadian specs, but you can tow, and you do have the ability to save that electric range for later if you wanted to. So you can choose where you want to use your electric range. But if you wanted to drive across the country in this car and never charge, keep filling it up with gas. You're going to keep driving around 7.2 liters per 100 kilometers is what it's rated for. You're going to keep going. Now, this one's an all-wheel drive model. I don't have an all-wheel drive model of the Ioniq. I have a rear-wheel drive, so we could talk about drive modes and terrain modes a little bit later to compare when we have an all-wheel drive. Ventilated heated seats and leather. So you do have, to be blunt, a nicer trim here for less money. This is a $48,000 car. That one's a $52,000. So again, with the savings, you're similar, kind of $5,000 off the EV. $2,500 over here. So you do have paddle shifters here as well. I don't know that that matters to people, but all right. So that is the basics in this car. Memory seats, traditional car, well equipped. Most people are going to be completely happy in that. And again, maintenance wise, just do your oil changes the same way as you would a regular car. Now this car keeps blinking here because as I approach it, you're going to see some non-traditional stuff. Because it's a full EV platform, it's a whole different idea. That is a gasoline car adapted to fit batteries. This one has essentially a skateboard underneath. It's got wheels here, a battery pack through the middle, wheels there, and it has a rear wheel motor. It'll have a front motor as well if it's an all-wheel drive. This one's not. As I approach the vehicle, check out the door handles. They are flush, but just by approaching it, it beeps and they pop out towards me. People have asked about these door handles. We have a Tesla here, and Tesla door handles will freeze in the winter. I don't think these will be as much of a problem because if it freezes, you can push in here to just like get it to pop out if it doesn't pop out. It shouldn't be an issue that way. Now, you can see there is a class difference here. This is cloth, the cloth seat completely. It may not appeal to you for the price you're paying, but you do gain a lot of electric type things. And this is one of the best driving vehicles, including electric, that I've driven this year. It is excellent to drive. And I say that coming from 2.5 years of EV ownership. It's a very, very good EV. We sell a lot of Teslas here as well. So happy to compare this to a Tesla any day of the week. So what you have here, lumbar support, just in and out, not a four-way lumbar, and a traditional seat. The idea with the Ioniq line is they want you to feel like a living room. And I will say that jumping in here, you feel... The seats are equally comfortable in both cars, but different comfortable. This does feel like a couch type environment. And when we flip it around here, as we look at the dash, there's just nothing here. It's flat floor like that. It may look like there's a hump here, but that's a flat floor between the passenger and driver seat. So the illusion and reality of space around you is excellent. This is a very spacious feeling car, and it's very, very good as far as comfortable to sit in, but it is very different. Now you do have a white bezel here, and they look like black screens, but when you turn them on, the software is white. And actually it's set to black now, so you can change this around. Obviously they've changed it around to black. So you could have some white software that kind of blends it in a little bit better. A lot going on here. So 488 kilometers of rated range here. And why don't we just sort of show you what you can get here. This is gonna vary a little bit by a lot of things here. So 56%, let's just click into here. If it was fully charged, you would have about 444 kilometers of range. So again, cooler weather. People are driving this car a little more aggressively than you probably would because people want to feel the power, that instant torque. But yeah, cooler weather, that's what we're seeing in here. And I've seen this car with over 500 kilometers of rated range. So it just depends on winter conditions. And again, we are in winter conditions today as far as this goes. So what you have here, again, a large screen, the same way you do as in the Santa Fe, but it's closer to you. And then visually, they almost tie in together. There's over 2 feet of screen space over here because this is a 12.3-inch display screen as well. And let's just go to the map here, for instance. So a lot of software things. You would have this same software if you had the full-size screen as far as your mapping and your other screen here. But the biggest you can get on a Santa Fe is 10.25-inch screen, which is smaller than its 12.3. Again, hard to show how big it is on video. Yeah, these are large screens. And it's very cool and open. Now down here, the steering wheel has some of the same buttons, but they're touch buttons on this steering wheel all around the outside as you would have. You've got drive modes here as well. And again, that fully open space down here. So we're gonna go take your questions in just a second. I know there's a lot of things you wanna see. Where are we headed? What are we doing here? So there's 120 people on right now. Let's go all out. I don't think we've ever hit 120 likes. So let's see if we can get 120 likes. I'm gonna walk you through technology if you wanna see it. We're gonna go rear seat and we're gonna go trunk space. We're gonna compare both of these, rear seat and trunk space, to each other, and we'll talk about living with one over living with the other. The biggest difference is with an EV, it takes time to charge. Now, there are stations in Canada, Petro-Can stations across the country, you can charge in about 18 minutes. That's if it's reliable. So 18 minutes is available today. Reality is you're probably gonna spend for an hour and a half when you really stop to fast charge, because those will be the more common fast chargers. But this is a real world replacement for an actual gasoline car. It's very doable. The difference with the car over there is that is exactly a gasoline car that gets you fantastic mileage. So there are some things. Someone said, didn't know this was live. Oh, dude, we're live. All right, so let me turn this car off. We'll go take your questions to start. And like I said, real world stuff. I'm gonna go in the back seat to compare the space for me there on both these. We're gonna look at the trunk space. The Ioniq 5 has a longer wheelbase by a lot. So that's the center of this wheel to the center of that wheel, but I believe it is a shorter car. I haven't done the exact specs. Just looking at it says to me that it's probably a shorter car. So space is kind of an interesting thing the way it does that. All right. Somebody says, is that a Subi owner? I do not own a Subaru. All right, I'm gonna try to glance at your questions here as quick as we can. We'll try to come back to some more in a minute. Just do the quick halfway through. Again, if you've got likes to give, we're searching for 120 likes. I don't think we've ever done that before, so let's see if we can get there. Any idea when EV6 pricing will be available? I don't know. Let's stick with these cars for now. We'll go off-topic questions after that half-hour mark. Have I driven the Ioniq 5 yet on the highway or city? I've driven both, highway and city in the Ioniq 5, and both with the PHEV. I'm going to add a test drive function or test drive series to this in 2022. So we'll take both these vehicles out, do an identical loop, and I'll tell you about the differences between cars and that. I think that'll be a good addition to this channel in 2022, so we'll talk about that. Both very good. Okay. Glad I could catch one of these live. Just picked up a stinger. Oh, cool. All right, don't see a ton of questions. So if I'm missing your question, there's lots of comments in here. Oh, does the Santa Fe finally have 64 liters capacity? So Santa Fe fuel tank is 40, is it 42 or 40? It's 47 liters, I believe, of the fuel tank in here and 67 on the gas. So the fuel tank is smaller on the PHEV Santa Fe. There is some specs out there that there are some specs out there that are incorrect. So 47 liters on the PHEV. So while you get much better fuel efficiency, if you're going on a long trip, you may have to have a few more stops because it is better fuel efficiency, but it is a smaller tank. So we'll do that. Some says top line Ioniq 5 doesn't have leather either. Okay, I haven't seen that one yet, so I thought it did too, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay, somebody says they love the 12-inch screens. That is one thing that is impressive. It's hard to show on video the 12-inch screens, but they are very impressive. Heater pumps and stuff like that. Yeah, so let's talk about that. When we talk about technology, and again, I want to leave this for another video, but this car has battery warming technology, and I believe it has it may or may not have electric heat. I have to double check that. I will be very honest with you. The heat pump doesn't save a lot of range. It can, but it doesn't for most people's driving. What you really want to do is battery warming technology, battery temperature control, and this car has state-of-the-art temperature control. That car has a little bit less so because of the way it's designed, but again, it's also the gasoline engine running with that kind of thing. So when you're looking at an EV, the absolute best of the best is really what we're looking at here. PHEV, it relies on that gasoline engine a little bit more for certain things, so it does that. So someone says, I've always gotten 2 key fobs with new cars. You'll get 2 key fobs with this car as well. Can I quote gallons also for your USA watchers? I can't. I don't have the conversion in my head on some of those things. So gallons, you'll have to just Google. Somebody can help you in the comments section here. 47 liters and 67 liters in US gallons. You can do that. I can't do it off the top of my head. I'm sorry, because we do these live. All right. What else we hear? You know what? How big is the Ioniq 5 in person? They did a good job with the dimensions. Yeah, the Ioniq 5 in person, I don't know how to say how big it is in person, but it is smaller than that. It reminds me of Kia Selto's kind of sizing that way. It's bigger than the Kona, but inside it's much larger again. So let's go rear seat there to rear seat there, trunk there to trunk there, because that's the functions that you're going to live with every day. And then we'll continue to work with your questions and work with what we can. All right, so the front seat, unless it slid back on me, I think it did. Sometimes these are set to a comfort access position where they slide back a little bit. So bear with me for a second. I'm just going to make sure it's in where I need it so we have a fair comparison. Yeah, this is too far back. So I'm just bringing it forward again. Foot's on the gas pedal. I'm comfortable driving right here. That's a good spot. Now, let's jump in the rear seat here, and we'll compare space, because I think this is where you see the Ioniq 5. An EV platform allows you to do different things. You do have a little bit of a small hump on the floor there, not large, but let's just jump in here. Easy to get in here. Again, traditional SUV, no different than a gasoline model. You have this beautiful panoramic roof. This one does open here. The front panel can slide above the rear panel, so you have that. Overall, very comfortable back here. My seats, my legs are on the seat. They are heated rear seats here, so I do have some extra luxuries here with the heated rear seat on the seat bottom only. And then as we take a peek across here, you do have a pocket there, 2 vents there, and 2 USB ports here. And the pocket, of course, on this side as well. There's an armrest as well. These seats also recline. They also move forward and back. So I don't know if you can see that there. Let me just sort of try that there. So we move forward and back quite a bit. And the Ioniq 5 does the same thing. We're going to leave the seats fully back as we do our comparison. And it just latched into place. That's why it made that funny noise. All right, so let's look at the Ioniq 5 now. Coming across there's that rear window that everybody thinks is controversial because it doesn't have that. Hello from Detroit. Hey, I've been to Detroit. Rear seat here. For the size of this car, this is kind of massive. And again, they went with a living room type feel to this. And I quite like what they did. Very comfortable here. I will say that my legs are just a little bit more raised up off the seat. if you sit in the back of a Tesla, they have a similar design where the batteries are under the seats. In a Tesla, anyone, 3X, anyone you have, my legs are like this on the seats. That's just how they are. These ones I'm much more comfortable as far as my legs being on the seats, and bluntly, other than I guess the X, there's not another one that has the headroom that fit me properly as a 6-footer. And check out the legroom here. Massive legroom behind that driver's seat. I can slide the seat forward here, so let's just go back to here again. Slide the seat forward by a lot. That's where it latches in place. I can do that there. And of course, I can also recline it quite a bit here. So same thing with the Santa Fe. For a smaller crossover, you can just feel like a couch. Like I'm just chilling out here, relaxing. It doesn't really show, but I'm like very reclined and just relaxed. For a road trip, this is a fantastic car. It works very well for comfort. I'm gonna bring the seat back up to the full back position with a normal tilt to me here. One thing I didn't show here, these ones are not heated in the back, but you will see there's vents in the pillar here. Now, I think that's an interesting idea. I think the reason they put them in the pillar there is because on the higher trim versions, you do have this center console that can slide back and forth. And I think they avoided putting the fans mechanism in there, or the ductwork that you would need for the wind through there, the air through there, because this can move. On this particular model, it doesn't move. USB ports there. Both seats have a elasticized pocket, which holds a little bit more, and plastic back seats, which I'm a fan of. If you have kids in the back of this car or whatever, their dirty shoes, especially with their car seats, their dirty feet are going to be up there. You wipe that clean with a cloth, and it's done. All right, jumping out, we're gonna go trunk space to trunk space. Before I do, I just wanna show you again, design differences in this car. Obviously it looks different on the outside. It also looks different on the inside. This visually kind of blends in to that. I guess you can kind of see it on camera here. You almost don't see the handle there, but there is, the entire thing is a handle to shut the door, with obviously more space in the middle than on the edges here. But it is just kind of, again, the illusion of simplicity, and very easy to look at there. All right. Jump back, and what we're going to do now is trunk space to trunk space, because, oh, nobody wants to look at me. All right, trunk space to trunk space, because we've got that here. So again, this one's a powered tailgate. The Ioniq's not. Going to pop that up, let it open up there, and the Ioniq over here, going to come down here and pop it up like that. So large trunk here. Again, seats that move, seats that tilt. Same idea here. Let's take a look at which one's bigger, and obviously the bigger vehicle's going to have probably the bigger trunk. Now we do have the charger in there in the trunk. Teddy Bear is my trunk measurement tool. He may not be perfect, but he is consistent across every one of our videos. When we look at trunk space, we throw Teddy Bear in there. Santa Fe does a really good job. It's got a lot of width here, and probably a Teddy Bear and a half, maybe a Teddy Bear and 3/4 of width here. So very good space for Teddy. Actually, maybe we could just make him a little bit more level. Yeah, Teddy Bear and a half type seating there. So very good. Now, the one thing the Santa Fe has that I really like that some people don't realize in the videos is it has some underfloor storage. So on this one here, you don't have any in the rear. You have the 12-volt battery underneath there, and you have the jack because it has a spare tire on here. But over here, you have a lot of underfloor storage. So a lot of people don't realize that how much space is there in this section. So tremendous underfloor storage there. Let's throw Teddy Bear in the back of the Ioniq 5. And then we'll start talking about charging and living with these cars a little more regularly. Now, this is a smaller car. It does have a smaller trunk. It's a Teddy Bear and a third. So there's no question it's smaller, but it's still pretty big. And when you fold those seats down, you have a massive entrance here. I'm up against the wall already. There we go. So Teddy Bear fits there, a lot of space. I think for most people, the Ioniq 5 is going to have a big enough trunk to compete with a, mid-size SUV. Depending on the kind of family you might be or what kind of work you do, that kind of thing. But he's still pretty good space in here overall. As we look underneath the floor here, underneath there is, again, that charger down there. It's a level 1 charger. We can show you that in a later video. And there is some underfloor storage as well underneath there. And again, we can create more space because remember, as a 6-footer sitting behind a 6-footer, I had like 6 inches or more, 8 inches more of legroom. So I could move this seat forward and create very comfortable seating compartment and a lot more extra luggage space. And you can do that in both. You can move the seats forward and create more. So it just depends on which one you want. Traditional SUV, fully different concept vehicle over right here. So let's pull him out here again so I don't forget Teddy in the car. What we're gonna do now, guys, is traditionally we try to finish these videos at the 30-minute mark and just answer questions from there. There's a lot of comments in there I don't see, so I may ask you to repeat your questions here sort of at the end of the comments, or just repeat your question again if I missed it. We were going for 120 likes. I don't believe we've ever hit that, so if we want to hit 120 likes, that would be cool if you guys could help me get there. There's like 166 people here. Oh, somebody says I was cut off. Oh, well, hopefully it still works. So let's just flip out here, take a look at the vehicles there. I'm going to go to your comments here. All right. All right, let me flip the camera around to me. Okay, so I am taking your questions now. Someone said I skipped out for a second there. I apologize if you lost me. Yeah, sorry if we had an internet issue there. I don't know if I was cut off. Okay, what charging network is best for long distance driving? What do you think you'll have, or do you think you'll have range anxiety? Who are they partnering for the best service? Okay, so there's no official partnership in Canada. I would say right now, I wish I could show you my phone. I'm filming on my phone. Something like Charge Hub is very good for level 2, level 3 charging. Flow is common in this area. There are a number of apps you can get that show you that charge stations are literally everywhere. A level 2 charger, in my opinion, kind of useless. This car has more than enough range to charge at home and do all your everyday regular driving. So what you're really looking for is a level 3 charger. That's what we call it. Now, somebody's argued with me in the past, well, we don't call it level 3 chargers anymore. I get it, but on this channel, we've called it that for a while. And then there's the super high-speed charger. You can get those at the Petro-Canada. So if you're driving across the country in a full EV, this has access to a level 3 and that super high-speed charger. Petro-Canada is a good option to do that. The PHEV does not have fast charging networks. It has a level 2 charger, which is one of these over here. You'll see those at grocery stores, shopping malls. It's very good for what you need to do. If you go to the mall and you stick around for a couple hours, you can easily get the kilometers that you put, getting to the mall and back into with a level 2 charger. Oftentimes those are free. In the States, I think I recommend Electrify America. That'll get you most of the places. They do have the super fast charging networks at times, but there's a number of apps that you can use. There is information on charging networks in the navigation systems on both of these cars. Personally, I like to use a number of my apps. I find they work a little better. A lot of those apps are pretty good too to show you, let's say there's a bank of 8 chargers, 3 chargers are in use, then it'll show you the other 5 that are available. So that's just something to keep in mind with these chargers as well. All right, whoa, where are we going here? Prices on the higher trim Ioniq 5. Pricing I have not memorized, but it is publicly available. You could Google that in Canada. I just can't remember off the top of my head everything, exactly where it all falls. So I don't want to get into that and be wrong on this video. I'll skip that. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be rude. When we do these live, it's tough to find everything. So I'm going to continue to try to answer as many questions as I can here for a second. Then we're going to go take a look at a couple more things in the car that we're getting to. Darker trim color available around the internal screens, not on the Ioniq 5. It's a white color only. The EV6 will have a darker thing with a similar type look there. Do any of Kia Hyundai PHEVs use heat pumps yet? Not that I know of. Well, I shouldn't say they have a PTC heater. Usually that's used, I think, to defrost the windshield or something like that, but not the full heat pump. I know that's people's frustration. There's different ways to do different things. I think you'll still find that in the majority of our vehicles, they're very, very efficient, even when they're running on gasoline, which sometimes is that difference. If you're buying a PHEV and you want it to run only pure electric all the time, you probably shouldn't be buying a PHEV. You should probably be buying a full EV, and accept that when you go on a long trip, you're gonna spend a little bit more time charging. Okay. So yeah, you guys are saying nothing that some aftermarket vinyl won't fix. You're right. It's a very easy service to recover up with some aftermarket vinyl or something like that. Oh boy, so you guys are asking a whole lot of questions that aren't super related. Is Android Auto wireless on the Ioniq 5? No, so that's a good point as well. When you get these larger screens, I don't know why, I didn't make the rules, but the Ioniq 5 has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but it's not wireless on this car. On that 8-inch screen, it is wireless. Why? I don't make the rules. I have a feeling there's not a really good answer, but that's just what the reality is with these screens. So Android Auto Apple CarPlay is available on both of them, but not wireless on the big screen. Before everybody leaves here, I'm going to keep going with questions, and I know it's going to get boring from here for some people. Do me a favor, guys, subscribe to this channel, because obviously there's a lot that we didn't talk about with both these cars. We will go over those more in these videos in the future. We will continue to go on here. Somebody says, please explain our discussion on the rear wiper. We did talk rear wiper at the beginning of this video. Long story short, a Globe and Mail article wrote that the rear wiper is not on this car. They never learned the technology of the car. If you drive this car and your takeaway is it doesn't have a rear wiper and it should, then you shouldn't be reviewing automobiles. It had a clickbait title. Everybody's obsessed now saying this car needs a rear wiper. Yes, the rear window will get a little dirtier than it could have if it didn't have a rear wiper. You can see through it in all but the absolute worst possible conditions. It's not a big deal. It should not be something that takes over your view. It should never stop you from buying this car. And the worst thing, it should not keep you from learning this car. If you want a rear wiper, that one's got one. Big whoop. It's just one of those things that a Globe and Mail clickbait article from a lazy reporter who did not learn the car got a ton of play. And it drives me nuts. People are saying, it should have a rear wiper. Okay, it should have a rear wiper, but it's not a big deal. It's just something that we shouldn't be talking about. We don't talk about Teslas not having rear wipers. We don't talk about sedans not having rear wipers. We don't have to worry about this car not having a rear wiper. It's just, wow, there's a lot of wasted breath on the rear wiper. But to be fair, I wish I could have the reach of that Globe and Mail article because hokey smokes, that seems to be a big play. All right, flipping through here. Quickly, I want to talk about charging these cars. Because I want to go, yeah, it has a rear defroster, of course. Let's talk about charging these cars because I think that's the other thing you're going to live with. So let's show you how that works. I'm going to shut the trunk here. All right. Shutting the trunk. Over here is the charge pad. Whoops, the charge door. So this one is right rear. Same thing on the PHEV. You can touch this little area there and it pops up. It's kind of cool looking. When you plug this car in, you can plug it in and it'll say charging or vehicle charging or something really cool. You can turn that voice off if you want, but you do have a sort of a charge gauge here. So you know kind of where you're at. When it's full, these will all be lit. I think those will start flashing. If you go to the level 3 or super fast charging beyond that, you pull this section out as well, and you're gonna have a single nozzle that plugs in there and charges crazy, crazy fast. Most of the time you're gonna plug in at home. I would recommend on a full EV getting a level 2 charger. Now I say that as someone who does not use a level 2 charger. I've been getting by just fine by plugging it into the wall like your cell phone, but a level 2 charger is what you need to make this car work. And most of the time you're gonna leave your house with essentially a full charge or as full as you want it to be, 80%, whatever you want it to be. Super easy to do. You plug in when you get home and it's just click. If you can, plug in your cell phone, then you can plug in this. It's just not a big deal. Close that down like that. It's pretty cool, kind of futuristic. If you're worried about ice and snow, I don't think it'll be an issue on that. I think you can give this a healthy little bang to shake everything off. It doesn't seem to be an issue for me. Over here, you have a gas door on the PHEV right here, which is right there. Again, regular gasoline car, just drive it like a gas car. If you want to plug this in, and I do recommend that you do that, that's why you're buying this car, you're gonna come over here. You're gonna pop that open just like you would your gas door. You have a nozzle here, and this hangs up over here, or a little cap there, it hangs up like that. And you'll see there's no bottom piece to this. So this is a level 2 or level 1 charge only. 10 hours on a regular plug like you plug it in your cell phone, about 4 and a bit when you're plugging it in on the level 2 charger. On this car, I don't necessarily recommend a level 2 charger. Most people, if you have a regular plug, it'll be just fine. You come home at night, you plug it in, you've got your full range to use in the morning. Now, where you might want a level 2 charger is if you want to maximize your EV usage. It may not work out in fuel savings initially, but it probably will eventually. Let's say you drive your kids to school in the morning, then you want to go out 2 hours later, and then you want to go out 2 hours later to pick up the kids. If you want to do that all on EV, a level 2 charger is going to charge faster, and it's something worth considering putting in your home because it just gives you some of that electric range back a little quicker. And no matter what electricity costs are, it's cheaper to run this car on electric than it is on gasoline. But there is that. Both of these cars can be, when you coast and when you brake, they will charge the batteries a little bit. That car can be set up for what we call one pedal driving, so you can release the throttle and it can come to a complete stop braking. You still have to use the brake if you have to brake more aggressively, but most people get used to driving 99% of their driving or 90% of driving by using the throttle, the gas pedal essentially, throttle pedal on or off. This car drives exactly like a regular vehicle. There's no learning curve here on how to drive it, how it's different. So we're going to leave it there, guys. We hit 129 likes. We've got 164 people on. I feel bad hanging up on you guys, but do me a favor again. I know this is silly. It's not me begging for likes because I want them for me. I want them for you. If you want to know more about this vehicle, what I want to do is I want to do more technology, more information on that vehicle. We're going to do a drive on that vehicle where I can go into things a little bit more detail, talk about some of the way this technology works when it drives here. For that vehicle, there's less to talk about it driving, but I'll still do a drive on that vehicle as well. It drives like a regular car or a regular hybrid. A regular hybrid, again, sometimes even when there's no charge in that vehicle, when you're driving down the road, it's never fully empty on battery, no matter what. So you can let off the gas sometimes or even accelerate on pure electric power, even if the charge is gone, because it can regenerate its own power a little bit, use the engine to charge the battery, and you can do that with there. Somebody says we got some spamming people on there. I'll take care of them later. We're jumping out of here anyways. So yeah, like I said, do me a favor, hit the like button. Some guys are asking about the EV6 versus Sorento PHEV. EV6 is going to be a little while before we see it. We're taking orders right now. I think we're probably, if we're not, well, we are by far the leading dealer in the country. We've sold 26 EV6s here at Brantford Kia. We can help you with that if you want to order an Ioniq 5. I'm going to beg that you contact us. Hopefully we've earned your business anywhere in Ontario. We've got 2 dealers that can serve you, but we want to work with you on the Ioniq 5 as well. So connect with me. There'll be a link in the description in this video. As soon as I'm done, connect with me. We'll get you connected up, and we'll get you an Ioniq 5. Don't wait on these things. These aren't going to be in high volumes. They will sell out this year. And PHEV, same thing. There's a wait time to get some of those, so get in early and we'll help you out. I live in Toronto. I'll go to a local dealer to see this. Hey, Kevin N. This is one thing that bothers me. Kevin N. just said, I live in Toronto. I'll go to a local dealer to see this. Why don't you come to us? I earned it, right? Like, we'll help you out. And I will say that there are other dealers, and this is not to knock other dealers. There are not people that learn these cars the way we do at our dealers, the way I do as well. What happens sometimes when people go to the dealers is they end up calling me and go, yeah, my dealer doesn't know this answer to this question. And I go, yeah, it's because they didn't do the research. So we want to earn your business, and give us a chance. If you're in Toronto, we'll deliver the car to you, right to your door. You'll have the full description at your door. We can work with you there. So hopefully we can earn your business, and if we can't, it is what it is. If you're in South Africa, somebody said to me, I can't buy from you because I'm in South Africa. No problem. Just watch it, like it, hit subscribe. We'll be cool. All right, we'll have these videos back, or vehicles back again soon. Sorry to blab the last 5 minutes, but I do appreciate your taking the time with us. And we will do it again. We will do this again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody, and Happy New Year. I only have one more video to go of this year. We'll go live again tomorrow at 2 o'clock with the #1 Hyundai of 2021, or Hyundai that you could buy in 2021. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.